Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome to the program on your Thursday afternoon, day 9 of the government shutdown. And the Democrats, just a short while ago, have rejected for the 7th time a bid to open the government. Now, you guys need to remember that this is not a Republican shutdown. This is a Democrat-led shutdown, period. Even though, like I said yesterday, there's some waffling, there's some wavering, there's some bending and cracking. Kind of like me when I bend down these days. It's a little unsteady these days, little unsteady in the Republican Party. I'll tell you about one case of that coming up in just a little bitty bit. But we do have some news. We know that President Trump had that peace deal announced last night, and this was not that long ago.
Crossing the wire moments ago, Gaza Hamas chief says we declare an end to the war today and the start of a permanent ceasefire. Apparently, along with that, they're going to open the Rafah crossing in both directions. I mean, Mr. Ambassador, there's a lot of promise in what we've been hearing in the last 24 hours, but Hamas does not have a good track record of living up to a lot of their commitments. I mean, they're basically signing on to their demise. And I would hazard a guess that there are some people within the Hamas, the remaining Hamas organization, who are saying, why are you doing this?
And he's absolutely right. Now, over in Israel at Hostages Square, they're dancing, they're celebrating. They've got a band going, they've got lights, everybody's waving flags, everybody's having a great time. They're very happy about this peace deal. Over in Gaza, different story. They're not happy about it at all. So we will see what happens with this. But it was kind of amazing last night when this stuff started happening, when you looked at CNN and their very first reaction to this historic Gaza peace deal. Let's take a listen to old Jake Tapper.
Obviously, blessed are the peacemakers indeed. But it is worth pointing out, this is a ceasefire deal, right? This is not a larger peace deal about a Palestinian state of any sort and who gets to rule a Palestinian state and Israel gets security guarantees, how, and all that. That is still TBD, right?
I mean, yes, but because...
Did you hear? Did you hear Caitlin Collins? She can't even believe Jake Tapper would say something like that. Even Caitlin Collins is like, well, yeah, but...
Yes, but a part of that is that, yes, this is the first phase of this deal where the two key parts of that was a ceasefire and the release of the hostages and also the release of Palestinian prisoners that are being held in Israel.
Obviously, blessed are
the... that was their first reaction. Chris Hayes, over at, of course, MSNBC. He tries to, and this is like the biggest reach of all, he tries to actually credit Joe Biden for the peace deal.
There was a deal that was sort of jointly negotiated by the outgoing Biden administration, the incoming Trump administration. That was also multiple phases. The first phase was the release of some hostages, a cessation of bombing. That never got to phase 2 the first time around.
No kidding.
Instead, the war continued after that. So your point is well taken. Do you think there's a role do you worry that Trump wants to get the Nobel Prize on Friday? It's sort of, I mean, I really don't mean that as a...
Who gives a rat's rump? I mean, seriously, do you think he's going to get the Nobel? First of all, listen to what he said. Do you worry that Trump's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize on Monday? I think it's actually tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, just about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, they're going to be announcing the Nobel Peace Prizes. So, but Chris Hayes is all worried about that. But there are some people out there, that are actually, having to give President Trump credit.
Deal over the finish line. What are you hearing from your sources with regard to President Trump's role in getting both parties to sign off on at least the first phase of this peace plan?
Well, certainly this is an enormous moment for the world, but also for this administration, a big win for the president who has been very personally involved in this, Lindsay.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They're literally chewing their own lips off, trying not to give President Trump credit for this, but they have to. They have to give him credit for it because it's his. Even over on Morning Joe, they were talking about it, and oh man, the look on Mika Brzezinski's face when Joe Scarborough was talking about this. Oh my goodness, you want to talk about somebody looks like she had just eaten a lemon.
The deal that President Trump is announcing played a key part in negotiating. It is a significant change. This war was blocked for 2 years. President Biden, who preceded him, was unable to find a way to stop it. President Trump found that way by being tough on both sides. And he'll take a victory lap for sure over the next few days, but it's deserved. There's no way that I can see that this would have been done without Trump's pressure in the final hours.
Then Mika's like, okay, let's go. Oh, please, let's talk about something else. Please, let's talk about anything else. Let's not give Trump credit for anything because they never want to. They never want to. So they were, and there's also been a lot of talk about the Nobel Peace Prize, and they talked about it over on Morning Joe, of course.
I think we should give him credit.
This is Al Sharpton talking about it.
I think we should give him credit. He gets a Nobel Prize or not, I don't know. I mean, they gave a Nobel Prize to Churchill and didn't give it to Gandhi, so I don't know how they figured this.
They also gave it to Barack Obama before he had actually done anything.
All right, still ahead on...
Okay, we got to go. When Joe Scarborough tells the truth, they gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Obama just because he was Obama. That's all it took. It took nothing else. It took no work. It took no effort. It took no peace deal. All it took was basically, and JJ has given me permission to say this, the color of his skin. He was given the DEI Nobel Peace Prize for absolutely nothing. And here you've got Donald Trump that has stopped 7 wars. I think we're looking at 8 now. If anybody deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, it's Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, nobody does. Absolutely nobody. Now, I know those people on the Nobel Peace Prize committee, when they're just sitting down and going, we can't do this. We just can't do this. So if he does not win, and I just thought of this, just kind of popped in my head. Wouldn't it be awesome for Trump to come up with the Trump Peace Prize? Just have this like a big giant Trump coin with his profile on it and the fight on it, and him just saying like, yep, this is it. This is so much better than the Nobel Peace Prize. Nobel invented dynamite. We don't have to worry about that. I invented peace. That's just the way it is. And then just start getting into that thing out. So it'll be bigger than the Congressional or the Presidential Medal of Honor. It'll be bigger than that. Don't even worry about that. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Well, the Democrats still got the government shut down, and the Office of Management and Budget have confirmed what the Republicans have been saying. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
While others talk rough, Charlie stays smooth, like a perfect putting green.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Let's go to the WORD talk line. We'll talk to Scott in Greenville. How you doing, Scott?
Scott, oh man, great, Charlie. Thank you very much, man.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday you were talking about the Democrats had a master plan of claiming insanity so that they could get off all this stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
And I wondering if you could possibly tell us again how to look at the article that you were reading that guy wrote, and I got bits and pieces of it, man, and it was so overwhelming. I was listening and driving, and I thought it was great, and I got a good idea. I want to do a Charlie Kirk golf tournament.
Oh,
sometime.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, I bet you could get some folks from Turning Point USA to all of these upstate chapters to get in on that. Hey, Scott, I appreciate it. Hey, let's talk about that golf tournament. But here's how you find that article. Go to thefederalist.com. That is thefederalist.com. And you can find that article right there. If you can't find it, send me an email, charlie@989word.com. You can find all of that out, and I will certainly send that out to you. I appreciate it, Scott. But again, the article said that they're not crazy, that this is all part of a big plan. This is literally their ideology. And coming up in a little bit later on in the show, we're going to talk about this woman, Katie Porter. Now, Katie Porter is a real piece of work. She might actually be crazy. Now, just to say that their whole ideology isn't crazy, all of them aren't crazy. Some of them actually are crazy. There are some nuts out there, and I think Katie Porter might be one of them. We'll talk about her coming up in just a little bit. But we got some more news today. Everybody talking about voting. And every time we talk about voting, what do people always say? Oh, Charlie, we can't vote. They're just going to cheat. They're just going to use those voting machines, and they're going to cheat us. They're just going to use those voting machines. And they're going to cheat us. They're going to use those Dominion voting machines. Well, we all remember that after 2020, during 2020, after the 2020 election, all these folks on the left were defending Dominion voting machines. Well, I can't believe that they would say this about anything untoward going on with Dominion voting machines. Dominion voting machines, they are the gold standard of voting machines, and we will not have their reputation being besmirched. Every single vote was legitimate. Let's see how long they keep that up. Because I think it's going to end in just about 10 minutes from now. Because Dominion voting machines just got sold. They were a Canadian company, and they just got bought by an American company. And listen to the name of the American company that bought Dominion voting machines. Liberty Vote. Liberty Vote has purchased Dominion voting machines. It is owned by a man named Scott Leinendecker, who in 2011 created a software program focused on enabling election workers to verify voters and check them in at polling locations. His company, No Inc., has more than 150 employees and $55 million in annual revenue. The company says its systems are used by election officials in more than a third of U.S. states and describes itself as the nation's leading provider in electronic poll books. But listen to this, he has got deep Republican ties. So let the heads catch on fire. You'll wait 10 minutes, half an hour from now. All of a sudden, Democrats are going to be saying, that's just it. That's how they're going to cheat. That's how they're going to cheat in the 2026 elections. That's how they're going to cheat in the midterms. They're going to get out there and they're going to cheat. They're going to use these Dominion voting machines and they're going to cheat. Well, we'll see what happens. I promise you they're going to do that. All of a sudden, they're going to turn against Dominion. Well, look what they're, evidence. evidence. They loved Elon Musk. Well, look, even go back further than that. They loved Donald Trump. Liberals loved Donald Trump. Democrats loved Donald Trump. Al Sharpton would trip over his chubby little cheeks at the time to get near Donald Trump and have a picture taken. Jesse Jackson as well. But once he came down that escalator at Trump Tower with Melania and announced he was running as a Republican, all of a sudden they turned, and all of a sudden Donald Trump, a man who got the NAACP award the same night as Rosa Parks, he was all of a sudden a racist. All of a sudden a homophobe, a transphobe, Islamophobe, all the phobes. They turned on him just this quick, okay? Elon Musk, same thing. Absolutely same thing. Oh, we love Elon Musk. He's on, what is that, The Big Bang Theory. Oh, we love, he's on Saturday Night Live. We love him. Everybody loves Elon Musk. After Butler, Elon Musk goes MAGA. They hate him. They start spray painting Nazi symbols. We had it was a few weeks, I guess about a month ago now, as time flying. Somebody was in the neighborhood with a Cybertruck. And I was busy. I was looking. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the size of the windshield wiper on a Cybertruck. That thing is massive. I don't know how much it takes to replace that, but it's huge. I didn't even notice where somebody had at one time painted a swastika on the front of that Cybertruck, and they did their best to get it off, but it didn't work completely. But they loved Elon Musk. And then they turned against Elon Musk. They love Dominion voting machines. And again, it's not going to take long. Once this story gets out, Axios just reported it. When did they report this? An hour ago. Just an hour ago. 56 minutes to be exact. Axios came out with this story. It will take a little time to filter with all the liberals, but they'll be losing their ever-loving minds. Because all of a sudden, Dominion voting machines are not going to be able to be trusted. And I wonder how long it's going to be take them to actually call for paper ballots. We want paper ballots and hand counts. That's what we want. Because they always want to change the rules. Speaking of changing the rules, there is a way that the Republicans can open the government pretty much immediately. But I'll guarantee you, they don't want to do it, and they shouldn't do it. We'll tell you what that is coming up in just a second. But the Congressional Budget Office, now one of the big things about the government shutdown is that they want more money for Medicare for illegal aliens. Now, remember, we've told you all about how they're just conflating or muddying the definition of legal. But the Congressional Budget Office has come out, definitive proof that illegal aliens are getting Medicare.
Facebook this morning on your Facebook page, you said that this bill strengthens Medicaid by not allowing illegal immigrants to use Medicaid. And I do want to note undocumented people are not eligible for Medicaid. So what do you say to Iowans who might lose their benefits?
Well, what I say is that you're correct. Undocumented illegal aliens are not supposed to be on Medicaid, but yet they are. The government and the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, agrees that they are. There are states that are allowing them on. Even Governor Newsom in California said that they should revisit having illegal aliens on Medicaid because it is costing, I think, again, and you can fact check this, it's costing California about $12 billion. But remember that the federal government takes up, pays for 90% on the Medicaid expansion. On the FMAP, the shared portion of it. So we're absolutely strengthening Medicaid for those for whom Medicaid was intended. So our provisions that we put in were very thoughtful in support of what you just said. Illegal immigrants are not supposed to be on Medicaid, so we're not going to allow illegal immigrants on Medicaid. The federal government is not going to cover them.
And not going to cover them, and they shouldn't. So when we get back, how can the Republicans open the government today if they wanted? But the thing is, they don't want to. and I don't blame them. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Get breaking news sent straight to your phone for free. Download the Odyssey app. Follow News Talk 98.9 WORD. Stay in the know with the voice of the Carolinas. Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So right now there's absolutely no headway in getting the government back open, at least with the Democrats. They're the ones that are holding the country hostage because we know what all they want. They want to fully fund NPR again. They want to stop fund. This is what amazes me. They're talking about health care, and now all you're doing. They want to stop funding for rural hospitals. Can you imagine that? They want to take away the funding that rural hospitals have. Rural areas of the country, like I don't know, you can go down to just about anywhere in South Carolina where they've got rural hospitals. And why do you think the Democrats would want to do away with rural? Well, because the big hospital chains, they've got lobbyists. They've got lobbyists that rural hospitals can't afford to have because they're treating patients, you see. And they're running on a lot thinner margin than some of the big chain hospitals. So they can't afford the lobbyists to go to Washington and take these congressmen out to lunch and, promise them campaign contributions and all that stuff. So they don't really have a leg up in Washington. And it also hurts the hurts the hospital chains when you have a rural hospital. So instead of somebody being able to go to a rural hospital that might be 10 minutes away, you have to go to the big chain hospital that might be 40 minutes away. And if you have to call an ambulance, well, that's just more money that they're going to get from you and your insurance company if you have insurance. So this whole thing about American health care is all a bunch of BS, all right? And they want all of this stuff. Senator Kennedy laid out a bunch of that stuff the other day. They want pastry cooking. They want to fund pastry cooking classes for I'm not making this up. Pastry cooking classes for male prostitutes in Haiti. And we're talking like $1.5 million for something like that. Okay. But right now, the Democrats, they're not breaking. The Republicans are starting to show signs of breaking, and I'll get to that in just a second. But there is a way that the Republicans could open the government within the next half hour. They could do this. Because, you see, the Republicans are in the majority in the Senate. And one of the Senate rules is that in bills like this, you have to have a 60-vote majority. All right? 60 votes. That's what it takes. They could use the nuclear option. This is from Politico. Jordan Carney says, Senate Majority Leader John Thune shot down speculation that Republicans would deploy the so-called nuclear option to break the funding stalemate. The idea has gained traction on social media, particularly among Democrats who already support getting rid of the 60-vote threshold needed for legislation. But it found new footing. Are you ready? A new footing when a sliver of GOP lawmakers, including Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio, suggested it should be an option on the table. Thune, asked about the possibility, said Thursday that he's opposed to changing the legislative filibuster and indicated that he had not gotten pressure from the White House to do so. There's a lot of swirl out here, as you know, from social media, etc., but no, I have not had that conversation, Thune said. Deploying the nuclear option, where the Senate changes its rules by a simple majority vote, would require near unity in the Senate GOP. A few members have flirted with the idea, including Moreno, who said during a Fox News interview this week that maybe it's time to think about the filibuster. Well, what happened to your spine? Did you have some sort of an accident where your spine just, did you hear it crack? Did you hear that spine just crack? Moreno, did you hear it? We all heard it. But a larger swath of Republicans don't have much of an interest in getting rid of the hurdle. Nuking the legislative filibuster sparks unease and outright opposition with a number of GOP senators who worry it will come back to bite them when they are in the minority. Now, that's exactly what's going to happen. The moment the Democrats get back into power in the Senate, that's why this upcoming primary season, the midterm elections coming up next November, are so unbelievably important. And that's why 13.5% voter turnout does not cut it here in South Carolina. Because if the Democrats win either the House or the Senate, everything that Trump is doing or is going to try to do is going to grind to a halt. And the only changes that are going to be able to be made under Donald Trump is going to be with executive order. That's it. No bills, and he's hardly signed any bills anyway because they're not sending them to him, but no bills will be passed. It'll all be by executive order. And the next time we have a Democrat president, which hopefully is going to be a long time, they're going to be able to come along and undo everything that President Trump has done. Thune, when he became the majority leader in January, reiterated his support for the legislative filibuster, and Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming and the number 2 Senate Republican reiterated today that he also does not support getting rid of it, but it will come back to bite you. That I don't know. Marjorie Taylor Greene, we're going to talk a little bit more about her coming up. But she's supposed to be a bulldog. She's supposed to be one of these, I'm a true MAGA, America First, conservative Republican, and now, it's so crazy because we're like, we need a strong president. We need a president that's going to fight. And then we get one, and he's like, all right, let's fight. And they're like, ooh, fight. Yeah. Oh, God, I can't. I got a thing I got to go to, and I would love to stay and fight with you. I really did. That's kind of one of the things I campaigned on. But I got to go. I can't. I always find something else to do but fight. We've got a president, and thankfully his administration is standing behind him, but he's basically doing it all by himself. So if we do get these people like Moreno and Marjorie Taylor Greene, if they start cracking, I'm not too confident. And I told you last night, I will guarantee you, and just kind of proof of it right here, there are deals being made behind the scenes. Just let us have this victory. Let us keep the government open for 7 weeks. Then we'll come along and give you everything or most of what you're looking for. But remember when we told you it was $1.5 trillion that they're adding, that they want to add to the spending? Well, not exactly true, because they just added $350 billion on top of that. So who really wants to open the government? Everybody out there that's got people in the military that's not getting paid. Remember who kept this government closed. 800-9050-989. That's the Commons. That is the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. It's also the WORD talk line. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Joey Hudson here. Start your day early on Sunrise, Carolina, tomorrow morning at 5 on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, the GOP in Washington is a lot like a South Carolina bridge, ladies and gentlemen, full of cracks and ready to crumble. Even some of the most ardent, or people that claim they're some of the most ardent, Make America Great Again, MAGA Republicans, are starting to show cracks in their foundation. Marjorie Taylor Greene, shockingly, is one of these people. This is from CNN. GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene broke sharply with her party leaders yesterday as they tried to project a united front in the deepening standoff with Democrats over health care and the government shutdown, calling on Speaker Mike Johnson to bring the House back into session. Now, why? Why would you bring the House back into session? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because that's where this funding bill started, in the House, as it was supposed to. So she wants them to bring them back to the House to renegotiate with whom? Who does she want them to renegotiate with? The Democrats. She wants them to bring them back into session and warns that Americans would be hammered by higher cost if her party doesn't help right the ship. Greene, a staunchly conservative, this is according to CNN, remember? Greene, a staunchly conservative Georgia Republican, warned that her party would face backlash from voters if rising health care costs are not addressed, underscoring the growing rift between the prominent Trump ally and GOP leaders. Everyone's just getting destroyed, she said. Look, Democrats, you created this mess. Republicans have no solutions. You have to come up with a new plan in place, and we're not even talking about it. It's hurting so many people. The issue is front and center in a feud over the... Let me tell you, you want to know what to do about health care costs? Pretty simple. It's a simple solution. Get the millions of illegal aliens off the Medicare, Medicaid rolls. Deny them coverage and health care. Number 2, get rid of all the waste, fraud, and abuse. Number 3, why don't you go to these hospitals and say, hey, why you charging so much? Why are you charging so much for a hospital stay? Yes, JJ's like, have ICE stand outside the hospitals. Yo, that'll end it. No. You get there and all of a sudden there's ICE agents, you're going to, well, maybe I wasn't as sick as I thought. I had to go home. I'll go home and take a Tylenol. But again, they're cracking. Republicans say those negotiations must wait until the Democrats support a straight extension to fund the government until November the 21st. Johnson says he will not bring the House back into session until the Senate Democrats vote for the stopgap bill, which the House passed last month. Now, remember, this is the same bill that the Democrats, including Chuck Schumer, voted on merely weeks ago. Same bill. This is a clean CR. No increase in funding, no decrease in funding. Everything is exactly the same. So it was okay for them to vote on then. They knew when the deadline was going to be. They had all of this time to negotiate, and they said nothing. Absolutely nothing. Oh, at the last minute, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries wanted to sit down with President Trump. Please meet with us. We'll even come to the golf course and have lunch. You guys do have a good club sandwich there, right? No ham for me. A bacon. It's actually bacon on. Isn't it bacon on the club sandwich? Yeah, something like that. But anyway, at all that time, this was, in my opinion, a planned government shutdown by the Democrats. I think they planned on this for a while. As soon as they signed off on the one big beautiful bill, they were like, we'll get them next time. You just wait. Few weeks, we're going to shut the government down. And we're going to blame it on the Republicans. And we'll get the media to help us. And the media has been helping them all along. And not only will we get the media to help us, we'll break some of those hardline Republicans and we'll show them for what they really are. Yeah, that's what happened. So This cliff, let's see, Marjorie Taylor Greene said, this cliff is coming for millions and millions of Americans where their health insurance premiums are about to skyrocket. So put your money where your mouth is. While calling for a broader changes in the nation's health care policy, as she contended that the Obama-era Affordable Care Act drove up her family's health care costs dramatically. Okay, see, I don't understand this. I really don't. Affordable Care Act was not affordable for the vast majority of Americans. So why are we still doing? Now, I do have to agree with one little thing, because it was all about repeal and replace Obamacare. That's all we've heard for a long, long time. And in all of that time, the Republicans have not come up with a good solution for it. I think they just figured what's done is done. Let's go ahead and live within the ACA. But they've come up with no plan for health care. And again, it's not about health care. It's about who pays for the health care. Why aren't you going to the medical industry and saying, hey, guys, no need for all this. No need for a $1,000 ACE bandage. I tell you this story all the time. I tweaked my knee one day, and this is an honest God's truth. Tweaked my knee. Went to the doctor, checked it out. He said, everything's okay, nothing's torn, anything like that, but you probably need to wear a brace. So he gave me a knee brace. $90 for this knee brace. $90. That very same day, on my way home, because that was and he gave me some pain medicine. And I went to, and that time Walmart was my pharmacy. So I went to Walmart. I was waiting to get my prescription filled for my pain medicine. I walked over to the knee braces. I saw the exact same brace that I was wearing on my left knee that cost me, me and my insurance company, $90. Saw the same brace for $20. That doctor could have just said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't you go get your prescription filled, and while you're there, grab yourself a brace. No. Because I figured he'd give me this. This is some sort of a medical grade brace. This is the good one. This is going to help. Nope, same brace, identical. Nothing different about it whatsoever. So a lot of this stuff is a scam. And it's just a way to get more money out of the people that go to the hospital. And a lot of that, and the reason for that is all of this indigent care that they're having to take care of. So can something be done within the healthcare industry? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Does it have to be anything like the Affordable Care Act or some sort of single payer? No, it does not. It does not. Coming up in just a minute, in Oconee County, there's a land deal that everybody's looking at and scratching their heads, and it has to do with a former a college president and a former governor. We'll tell you about that coming up. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
He's got a mic, a mission, and no time for nonsense. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
America is back.
Yes, sir. And welcome back to the program. Well, we all know here in the upstate, I mean, we're growing by leaps and bounds. We really are. My wife and I went out to Cityscape Winery the other day, and when we were heading out there, we were like, good gracious, look at all this traffic. And they want more and more and more people to come in. Now, here's the thing about developers that I have found out through the years. They don't care. They don't care what happens to a community. They don't care what happens to, now I'm talking about most of them. I know I'm painting with a broad brush. There are some out there that are actually reputable and care, but a lot of them don't. They just come in, they start building anywhere they possibly can. I always used to say that they were going to try to put a hotel in a parking space down in Charleston because it was just building everywhere, but they don't care. They don't care about the history of the community or anything like that. So there's a new project out there. It's called the Newry. And this is a huge development. I want to go now to Oconee County Council Chairman Matthew Durham and talk about this. Matthew, welcome, sir. Thanks for your phone call.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
So now let me get this straight. This new development, Newry Mill, is going to be 5,200 homes?
Yes, sir. That's what the developer, Mr. Mark Hart, told us. 5,200 homes on 600 acres.
All right, 600 acres. So I did the math on this. Now, if you divided equally 600 homes into 5,200 homes into 600 acres, that means the entire footprint of your property would be less than the size of a basketball court.
That's correct. And the way he showed us they were going to stack them on there was through clear cutting terraces in the hills and just stacking them right on top of each other. No garages, nothing like that. 1,200 square foot houses right on top of each other.
That's 5,200 homes. And we're talking about probably 2 cars per home. We're looking at 10,500 cars minimum. What's that going to do in Oconee County?
Well, the city of Seneca doesn't have 5,200 homes inside the city limits. So, it'd be the largest municipality in the county.
Yeah.
If he built this. I asked him when he first presented, I said, this is a lot of homes. I said, I know we're growing. I said, but that's a lot of homes. He said, well, I'll fill them in 7 years. So he's confident on getting people moving in here into those homes, but it would just wreck this community. The highways is between Rochester Highway, a 2-lane highway that crosses the docks on Lake Kiwi. You can't widen that highway. And Old Clemson Highway, also a 2-lane road that is just already becoming a traffic nightmare.
And all of this is this group called United Homes Group. Now, on the board of United Homes Group is Clemson University President James Clements and Nikki Haley. Has there been a lot of pressure on you guys by those folks?
So there was not. So when Mr. Hart reached out to us, he came to us because he wanted to He wanted a special carve out, wanted a planned development district, to bypass the ordinances. He wanted special treatment. We listened to him and met with him twice. He came in the executive session, and we voted to direct staff to send him a letter, say, hey, you're welcome to build, but build within our own standards.
Right.
Our current standards. We're not going to have a carve out. He sent us a letter that threatened us with a media campaign, political action, and legal action. And we did not know, that Mr. Clements or former Governor Haley was on the board for this company. When he met with us, he told us Great Southern Homes would be building homes, but they had changed names to the United Homes Group.
Right.
We didn't go no further than that, but I had a citizen send me a screenshot of United Homes Group's board of directors, which included Nikki Haley and President Clements. So I guess that's why Mr. Hart felt so confident in throwing out his political actions.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Chihuahua standing in front of the bulldog. There's a lot of confidence there. So you guys are basically telling them to go pound sand right now, right?
That's correct. Yes. I mean, we've not communicated him outside of that letter. We sent him a letter telling him to follow the standards. He can come back then. We've not had any other communication back from him other than when he sent us the letter. We've not sent anything else back to him. We're done, with that project from our end as far as we are concerned. What's different about this project is he never went through the planning committee or the planning department of the county because he knew that the scope and the size of this project, would be rejected immediately. He just came straight to council to seek to create this special district.
Yeah, we're talking with Oconee County Council Chairman Matthew Durham. So how long would it take for him to be rejected if he did go through the proper channels?
Well, right now very quickly, right? The planning director is going to get these plans and say this far exceeds our density standards. And he would, it would be a fairly quick process. On county council, we typically do not deal with residential developers. Most of them, they come in, they apply, we have a set of standards, and they either meet them or they don't.
Right.
Sometimes we'll deal with, industrial type developers, but never residential. This is unique because he just came to us. He wanted a special carve out. We denied it, and then the threats became, started coming in.
And when the threats started coming, did you guys kind of shore your backs up and send, and get more resolved in not passing this?
Oh, yeah. We're not, we don't like being bullied. And, our council, we're a 5-member council, and we have our disagreements, but this is something that we're 100%, united on. There's no wavering. If anything, it reaffirmed that we was doing the right thing. Especially now once you dig deeper and you start peeling these onions back and you start seeing all these other folks that are involved. It's fairly eye-opening, and no, we've never wavered.
So he's made the threats. I guess we're waiting on the media campaign to start, preempting that a little bit. Are you expecting a lawsuit? Like he threatened?
Yes. Just to be honest. That's something easy. Anybody can sue anybody for anything now, so I do expect some sort of legal action. So
pretty amazing. Well, I tell you what, Matthew Durham from the Oconee County Council, chairman there, thank you so much for giving us a call and telling us about this story. It's pretty amazing. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. That's what you got to do. Think about that. 5,200 homes on 600 acres. They're going to be packed in there like sardines. Good night. And they wanted a special carve out. All right, when we get back, Trump is giving one option for the Democrats to end the Schumer shutdown. We'll tell you about it. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is the Charlie James Show. The right talk. Now more than ever on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, if you got a minute this afternoon or earlier this evening and you just want to do something fun, why don't you head over to Twitter and follow me? I'm at Charlie on Air. That's at Charlie on Air. I would love to have you over there. Let's go to Richard in Dallas and talk about that Oconee development. Richard, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Charlie.
Yeah.
I believe what's going on is I think they're building that development for the people that's coming down and settling in this area from up north. You've seen those homes up there, Charlie.
Yeah.
You can't walk between the houses without turning sideways.
Right. And that's what they're going to be.
I know, and that's to make them feel comfortable. I mean, you can't listen.
It's just
Charlie,
like where we
listen.
left. It's just
Hey,
like where we left.
Well, yeah, right. That's what it's about, man. And you can't get them too comfortable because they won't know how to act. You understand?
And then they'll start voting the same way they voted back at home.
That's right. They
Yeah.
don't know how to act anyway. But I think that's what's going on. They're going to bring them in down here, and I think that's what's all about. I think
Look,
they're doing that to accommodate them.
Maybe
and
so,
make
Richard.
them feel at home in the South.
What he said is going to have 5,200 homes. He's going to have them all filled in 7 years. Interesting. Richard, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. One texter says, hey, Charlie, blah, 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 blah. Where are we? Charlie, I live near that site. The project will create 5,000 times 8 or about 40,000 cars per day as the plan is, maybe more. The existing two-lane roads now carry up to 8 to 10,000 cars per day each. The current roads will both have to be 4 lanes plus numerous intersections rebuilt, and the land itself cannot support that many units. Fire service, sewer, it's just way too big. Check the website for the plan architect. An amazing amount of projects in China. Oh, there you go. But that's a huge development. 5,200 homes, 600 acres? Good gracious. You folks are going to be stacked right on top. If you wanted to borrow something from your neighbor, you wouldn't have to go next door. You just have to lean out your window and say, hey, could I borrow a cup of sugar? Thank you, man. Making some sweet tea here. It's going to be crazy. Really is. Well, day 9 of the shutdown going on right now. And President Trump says he's got one option for the Democrats. He talked about it in the White House.
Also, the shutdown, it seems like in the House there's a majority support for a temporary extension of the Obamacare subsidies, perhaps minus the funds for illegal immigrants. Is that how you see the deal to end the shutdown happening?
Well, I see the deal just getting extended as we continue to talk. But we're willing to pay because we're paying. You know, it's very simple. We're paying. And the Democrats are the ones that cause this problem. And it's a big problem for them. And they have a lot of break in their ranks. But so I see that, you know, I think that'll get worked out. But we want to get back before we do this. We don't want to have a gun held to our head. We don't like that. And the public doesn't like it either. So we want to get back. And I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out very well. It's something that shouldn't have happened. This was supposed to take place before the election. You know, this was supposed to take place on September 28th before the election. We shouldn't even be talking about this right now. This is actually something that shouldn't have even happened. Yeah.
He's exactly right. But it's not. Remember, we've been telling you $1.5 trillion they want to add to the continuing resolution. Well, this is from Representative Mike Hardiopoulos. Listen to what he says.
I'm not sure if you've heard, but the Democrat ransom note started at $1.5 trillion. Again, $1.5 trillion is their ransom note in order to keep the government open. They think that somehow spending more money in Washington, D.C. is the answer. We disagree. And now on top of it, they've asked for another $350 billion in ransom in order to keep the Obamacare subsidies that have been a failure to this point in place. We want to simply keep the government open and find new ways to reduce the cost of government, reduce the cost of healthcare, as opposed to just subsidizing more and more government or subsidizing a failed system known as Obamacare.
And he's absolutely right. Well, Joni Ernst, I'm kind of shocked that she came out with this. But listen to what she said today.
I sent a letter to Russ Vought outlining about $2 trillion of savings, a number of different measures there. But one is really going after those federal government employees that are deemed as non-essential. We've identified a number of those. And there are also the bad actors. We found one woman who was literally clocking in at 3 different federal jobs full-time. There were several days we found that she actually was claiming 26 hours of work per day. And this was because we had telework opportunities for those federal government employees.
Wow.
I mean, this is outrageous. So what we need to do is identify those bad actors and get rid of them. They should not be here. We have IRS agents out there that actually owe back taxes to the federal government, and yet they're hired to go after Joe Citizen on the street. So there are a number of ways that we can trim back on the number of workers that we have. We need to be a more efficient government. That's why I'm chairing the Senate DOJ caucus. It's not just about cutting and eliminating, but also making more efficient, better working for our American taxpayer. We can do that. This is a great opportunity. President Trump will steer us through this and find ways with Russ Vought that we can prove to have a more effective and efficient government.
It sounds like she's changing her tune about President Trump. $2 trillion worth of non-essential government expenditures. Now, I don't know how the accounting department works in the federal government, but I know if I went to my boss and I said, Mark, I've been working 26 hours a day, he would look at me like I'd just grown another head. And he would say, you know, Charlie, there's only 24 hours in a day. You can't work 26. Well, but that's what they're claiming. Because they're claiming multiple full-time jobs. Multiple full-time jobs in the government. Who was there to check on this? Shouldn't somebody check on this? If I told our accounting department here, hey, you know, I did the afternoon show on WORD, and then I went over to the sports station and I do the afternoon show, they go, no, I mean, hold on, no, you don't. You're a big dummy if you think that's happening. But in the federal government, I will guarantee you that is commonplace. I will promise you there are people that don't even go to work in the federal government that get paid by the federal government. $2 trillion worth of unnecessary expenditures. Russ Vought, you need to get to work faster. Start cutting these things out bigger and bigger. Because that $2 trillion, what do you think we could do with $2 trillion? Well, you could reduce that tax bill to start with, right? Anyway, 800-9050-989. That's the WORD talk line. It's also the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. Well, Morning Joe just had to sit there and listen to another Trump victory. Mika was not happy about this. And Kash Patel said something about Antifa that some folks missed. But I'll tell you what it means. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on The Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome back to the program. Let's go to the WORD talk line. We'll talk to Gerald in Cowpens. How you doing, Gerald?
All right, my brother. Now, Charlie, with all those houses stacked in there like sardines,
Yeah.
how in the world do you get them insured? You could imagine if a fire broke out, what the heck
Right.
would happen?
Oh, my gosh. Hey, there's so much to think about, right? So much to think about. That's pretty amazing. I mean, I don't know how they do that. So, yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. I have got, wait a minute. Hold on. I am missing something here. I'm trying to do a, there we go. Let's see if I can do this. Doggone it. Okay. Hold on. I'll get this in just a second. I'm doing something for you guys right here. So, hold on. I'll do it. Let's see. All right. So my question is, does President Trump deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? That's what I want to know. So here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to vote in a poll that we've got going on right now. All you got to do is type in yes or no. If you believe Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, just type yes to 800-9050-989. If you don't believe President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, just text no to the same number. So you guys let me know. We got this going on. I've got it active until about 11:30 tonight, so get on there and vote. I would love to keep up with that. Do you think President Trump, because of this peace deal in Gaza, do you believe that President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize? And it's not just this. It's like all of the others as well. All of the other conflicts around the globe. India and Pakistan, they were getting ready to go large with each other. Now, these are two nuclear powers that were getting ready to show each other what's what. And President Trump, he squashed that immediately. Charlie, could you imagine being the mailman and finding out you've got an additional 5,200 homes out there? Could you say, nope, I quit. Sorry, you can keep my pension. I'm not doing that. Well, over at, President Trump, I think he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. 100%. We got one person that says no, but that's it, and I don't know why. But do you think he does? They were talking about it over on Fox Business News. Let's take a listen.
He cemented his status as the peace president, and I don't think there should be any question, Larry, that he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. This was an intractable situation, not just in the last couple of years, but for the last, few decades, and certainly generationally. And so he got the parties together. It wouldn't have happened unless President Trump's North Star was diplomacy, bringing the parties together, and ultimately getting to this ceasefire and the return of hostages. So there's still another phase to all this, of course, which is the governance structure, but President Trump has got the Arab states on board with their own incentives to make sure that works, and building on, I think, on his success from the Abraham Accords.
He used trade, he used tariffs, he used investment incentives, he used bombs when he had to. He showed that appeasement never works, but peace through strength will when you show strength. I mean, you and I ought to get on a plane. I don't really want to do this, but you and I should get on a plane, go to Davos or go to the UN or go to the democratic socialists who make these Nobel Prize decisions. I think they'd rather shoot themselves than give him the Peace Prize. He deserves the Peace Prize. There's no question about that. But that whole left-wing globalist crowd, oh, my God, never mind. Let's move on.
Yeah, and like I said before, if Trump doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, nobody does. Nobody. And if anybody deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, it's Trump. I mean, look at what Obama got. Obama got it for nothing. Obama got it for doing absolutely nothing. All he did was show up. Now, this is something that Joe Biden could not get done. Over on Morning Joe, they were listening to this guy talk about it. Let's take a listen to this.
The deal that President Trump is announcing
played a key part in negotiating, is a significant change. This war was blocked for 2 years. President Biden, who preceded him, was unable to find a way to stop it. President Trump found that way by being tough on both sides. And he'll take a victory lap for sure over the next few days, but it's deserved. There's no way that I can see that this would have been done without Trump's pressure in the final hours.
And he's exactly right. Exactly right. Now, here's the thing that I'm noticing. Noticing this. Over in Tel Aviv, in Israel, they've got a place called Hostage Square, and it's a place where they memorialize the hostages of October the 7th, 2 years ago, and they're celebrating. They're dancing in the streets. They've got a band there. Everybody's happy. Lots of joy going on. I want to see what's going on in Gaza. I want to see if those people are enjoying themselves today. John Fetterman was over on Fox News talking about the Nobel Peace Prize.
Do you think the president deserves a Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, I mean, if this sticks, I think the whole point of having a Nobel Peace Prize is for ending wars and promoting peace. And now I'm going to make a direct appeal to the president.
Do you think the president deserves...
And he's absolutely right. Promoting peace. What is Nobel Peace Prize? That's right. That's right. Who's had more peace than this president? Nobody. Look at everything that kicked off under Biden. Now, we'll see what happens. So let's take a little looky-loo here at our poll. Go get my campaign here and pull this thing up and see. So right now we have got 99% of the respondents saying that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. All you got to do is text yes. If you think Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, text yes to 800-9050-989. If you think he doesn't, text no to the same number, and I'll give you the results as they come in, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we got more news for you. Letitia James, yes, Letitia James is not having a very good day.
To my colleagues here at MSNBC, this bouncing ball is like the fastest bouncing ball ever. We've been monitoring this ever since we reported that a senior supervisor concluded there was no probable cause to bring this case to a grand jury, one of the lowest thresholds the Department of Justice has to meet. And instead, Lindsay Halligan, the interim U.S. attorney we heard today, had presented the evidence that she believes could lead to indicting Letitia James today in a courtroom in Alexandria. We now have multiple sources telling us that Halligan presented this evidence, and we are now waiting, as our prosecutors in the Eastern District, to hear if the grand jury has decided to agree with those charges of mortgage fraud involving the New York Attorney General.
And we will see what happens with this. But the Attorney General, Lindsay Halligan, has presented evidence to a New York, evidence to a grand jury of New York Attorney General Letitia James committing mortgage fraud to a grand jury in Virginia. Now, this is going to be approximately the same district that they indicted Jim Comey. So, gonna wait and see. We might have some news about this coming up in just a few minutes. All right, let's take a quick look at that poll before we go to a break. Let me see if I can refresh this here. Looks like we got 120 votes, 122 votes. 120 people say yes, he deserves it. 2 say he doesn't deserve it. And I bet if I looked at the numbers that texted that, they would be very familiar. All right, we'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Not just chatter, local issues that matter. This is the Charlie James Show
on News Talk 98.9 WORD,
the voice of the Carolinas.
Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you along with us Thursday afternoon. Does President Trump deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? Text yes or no to 800-905-0989. And let's give you a little, bit of a rundown here. Somebody said, hey, Charlie, did you already discuss what Kash Patel said about Antifa? Ooh, I'm going to talk about that next. It's like you're psychic. But here we go. Let's take a look at how the question is going on. We got 140 votes. 3 people say, no, he doesn't deserve it because blah, blah, blah. 137 people right now say, yes, that's 98% to 2%. Does President Trump deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? Text yes or no to 800-905-0989. The texter was just talking about what Kash Patel said about Antifa. Let's take a listen to that because it's very interesting.
Every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities, which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is. It will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you.
Okay, so now did you hear what he just said? He said Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is mapping out the entire financial structure of Antifa. Hold on, of the Antifa organization. Now, you know what that means, don't you? If they're going in and they're mapping it out, do you remember what they did when DOJ showed up at the Department of Education? Do you remember what DOJ did when they showed up at USAID? And they dug into those computers and they started finding out this web where all of this money was going and who the money was going to and how it was being filtered to this NGO and that NGO and how it was going back to these people. Do you remember all of that? They're going to use the same technology to go in and find out who is funding Antifa. And when they find out who is funding Antifa, they are going to file RICO charges, racketeering charges, influence peddling charges against those people. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, Antifa, that's just an ideology. Even Joe Biden said that on the debate stage. That's just an ideology. That's just an idea. That's all it is. Even Whoopi Goldberg said, what is this Antifa? They know exactly what it is. And there's only one way that these people show up anywhere, all dressed alike. No other explanation to that whatsoever. When they show up at, a federal building and they've all got high-powered lasers shining them in the eyes of law enforcement, which can cause permanent blindness. When they all show up with battery-powered leaf blowers to blow the pepper spray back at the police, when they all show up with umbrellas, they are organized. We know that. We've known that for a long time. Police can tell you that when they show up and they see all of these people dressed alike and all acting in the same way, we know they're organized. 100%. It's just the same way the riots during the whole George Floyd thing, that was completely organized. Those weren't grassroots. I knew a girl, young lady down in Charleston. She was a news anchor, and she was admittedly a little lefty. And do you remember when everything kicked off in Waukesha, Wisconsin? That was a big thing. They had riots in Waukesha. It was not a huge town, but there it was. They were rioting about George Floyd in Waukesha. She was staying with her parents. Her parents had an apartment above their store in Waukesha. She sat in the window of that apartment and watched people handing out cash and directing rioters where to go and where to loot. And then we know there are organizations out there like, what's it called, Crowds on Demand? Somebody's paying Crowds on Demand to get these people to show up. In some cases, actually saying people that aren't afraid of a little violence. You know, if you're a big burly guy, you're not afraid of a little bit of violence, we'll pay you this much, show up. And they do. Antifa is an organization. And hopefully, with Scott Bessent's help, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are going to be able to actually do something about this organization and find out how deep and how widespread the tentacles are and who they connect. Oh, man. I'm telling you what, I'm hoping something happens. So, Charlie, Antifa is domestic terrorists. Of course they are. Charlie, I'm listening to you just west of Boone, North Carolina. Thank you so much. We have some dear friends in Boone, Ward and Tracy, and we just love those guys. They're just so fantastic. I'm sorry, Ward is the son, Wright and Tracy. They live up there in Boone, and we just love those folks there. Haven't seen them in a while. Would love to see them very, very soon. All right, again, the poll that we're taking, does President Trump deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? Text either yes or no to 800-9050-989. I'll give you some of the results here in 2 seconds as soon as that clicks over. Let's see, right now, 98% still of the respondents say that President Trump does indeed deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. We will find out if he gets it tomorrow morning, just before 6 o'clock. So when Tara comes on tomorrow morning, I guarantee you that's going to be one of the first things that she is talking about. Actually, okay, so that'll be coming up tomorrow. So be looking out for that. So, all right, when we come back, Hakeem, all right, so you know you've got the left, and we know how crazy people like Hakeem Jeffries are, right? There are people even crazier than Hakeem Jeffries. And the real crazy wing of the Democrat Party is looking at primarying folks like Hakeem Jeffries. We'll tell you about that coming up next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, the survey's still going on. Does President Trump deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? Text either yes or no to 800-9050-989. Let's go to Jim in Greenville. Jim, welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing great. What's up, man?
Well, you're talking about Antifa. I mean, you know, people need to realize I'm 35 years law enforcement in Atlanta, and I can remember back in the 70s and 80s, we fought these guys called SDS, the Students for Democratic Society.
Yeah.
Then they changed their name to the United Socialists of America, patterned themselves after the United Socialists of Venezuela, still around, and Antifa today. So, you know, the same crowd, they just changed their name, different decade.
Right. Yeah, that's all they do. You're exactly right. In some hopes of getting some anonymity, I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you very much. So we all know the left has a bunch of crazies on there, and you can look at Hakeem Jeffries and go, he's one of the crazier ones, but he's not the craziest one. Okay, as nutty as he is, there are people even more nutty than the sombrero-wearing Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, all you got to do is look at Zohran Mamdani. That will probably be the next mayor of New York City, a man who is going to single-handedly destroy the Big Apple. It will be rotten before you know it, to the core. Well, apparently he's not real happy with Hakeem Jeffries. And he has actually got somebody that is going to primary Hakeem Jeffries. New York City Council member Chi Ossé. That's a good American name, isn't it? You remember that? Oh, where's Chi Ossé? Where is he? A close ally of socialist mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani is privately plotting a primary challenge against his House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries. Ossé, who backed Mamdani in the mayoral primary and headlined a rally and canvassed efforts for him, has spoken privately with progressive groups about potentially taking on Jeffries in the Democrat primary coming up next year. This is according to Axios. The move by Ossé, a former Black Lives Matter activist, wink, wink, with a large social media following, could drive a further wedge between Mamdani, who has rattled the Democrat establishment, and Jeffries, who has declined to endorse him. Any effort by Ossé to unseat Jeffries, one of the most powerful Democrats in the nation, likely would deepen the divide within the Democrat Party over age and ideology, according to Axios. The party has already been in turmoil for months, beset by financial troubles, bitter infighting, and sinking approval ratings. I think it's great. I really do. I think it's wonderful. So we got AOC out there looking to primary Chuck Schumer. If the Democrat brand, if you think the Democrat brand is in bad shape now, you just wait. Over the next couple of months, they are. Do you remember there used to be a diet candy out there? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Little chocolate caramel squares. You could take these candies, and I don't know what they would do, but they were supposed to suppress hunger. But they were called the AIDS diet plan. Do you remember what happened? They just went away. They were like, oh, well, great. Now we got this disease out there called AIDS. We can't continue. They are going to be, the Democrat Party is going to go the way of the AIDS diet candy. Because that brand is just that bad. They're going to go the way of Bud Light after getting, what's her name, on the tranny on the label. They're destroying themselves. And I am here for it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to watch every glorious minute. Speaking of glorious minutes, well, it is now official. Let's take a listen.
Senator, I'm going to ask you to stand by for me for just 1 second, and I would like to come back to the senator to get her to react to this immediately, but we do need to get to this breaking news out of the White House with Kristen Holmes. Kristen, I understand we have some legal breaking news.
Yeah, we have just learned that New York Attorney General Letitia James, who obviously brought the charges and won against President Donald Trump, has just been indicted by the Department of Justice. This was a case that President Trump wanted to be brought. It's a mortgage fraud case, and it's also what led to the leaving of the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. Eric.
So Letitia James has been indicted by a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia. I do remember the Democrats saying something like this.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
And there's Letitia James indicted by a grand jury in Virginia for mortgage fraud. Now, folks, just with the information that we have received from the Department of Justice about some of the things that she has done, I don't know how you find her anything but guilty. Anything but. She claimed that her father was her spouse on a VA loan. Because you see, VA loans are only for service members and their spouses. She tried to get one as a child. So then she goes back, and then she claims that a 4-bedroom dwelling, or I think it was a 5-unit dwelling, was only a 4-unit dwelling. Because in that case, she got better insurance rates and she got a better mortgage rate. Then she claimed that her home that she was living in was not her primary residence. No, actually, she claimed 2 homes as her primary residence. That is also mortgage fraud. Now, what did she accuse Donald Trump of doing? Fraud. But she was the only one that claimed that Donald Trump committed fraud. None of the lending institutions that Donald Trump did business with, none of them accused Donald Trump of fraud. It was only Letitia James, who was committing fraud herself. Let's go to Gene in Greenville and talk to him about the Nobel Peace Prize. Gene, welcome.
All right, Charlie, you may ban me forever, but this is a risk I got to take.
Okie doke.
Okay, listen, Satan is very cunning, and he operates within the world. We agree? Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
And understand, Donald Trump is essentially not a globalist. So my prediction, come tomorrow, they're going to give that Nobel Prize award to Hamas and the people of Gaza for having endured the hideous apartheid onslaught by Israel and by pro-Israel American supporters.
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that.
That the Nobel Prize Committee is going to award the Nobel Prize to the people of Gaza and to Hamas for having withstood the armed apartheid assault by Israel.
You know what, Gene? It would. You know what? I don't know how to respond to that. No, I understand. No, I understand completely what you're saying.
See, Satan is very cunning. You know that.
Yeah. So they're going to say that these people withstood all of that from Israel. They're going to completely ignore October the 7th 2 years ago and say these people have endured so much that they deserve the Nobel Peace Prize.
That's right.
You know what?
Now, if I'm right,
that would be crazy.
Take me out for a steak dinner.
You got it. If you're right, you and me, we'll go to Select Restaurant. We absolutely will. I appreciate it, Gene. Thank you. We'll find out early tomorrow morning about the Nobel Peace Prize. But if you think Trump deserves it or he doesn't, text either yes or no to 800-9050-989. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Keeping Carolina conservative. It's the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Interact on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome back to the program. According to the poll that we are running right now, does President Trump deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? Text either yes or no to 800-905-0989. Right now, 98% say yes, he deserves it. Let's go to Sam in Greer and talk to him. Sam, what's on your mind this afternoon?
Hey, Charlie, I hope you're having a great afternoon.
Yes, sir.
And cast my vote for President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Fantastic. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up?
I just wanted to call in and remind everybody we got two special elections that are coming up for House and for the Senate. And
Right.
I think we need to elect the right people so we can get on this judicial reform in South Carolina and get rid of some of these rogue judges.
Yep.
And get rid of some of these solicitors and deputy solicitors who cut these deals and these judges sign off on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, why we do that the way we do it is unbelievable. I
think we're the only state in the nation that does it this way.
Yeah, I think it's us and maybe one or two more, but that's it. But you're right. Again, these are special elections. We're not in the sexy season, though. Everybody's got to show up because these are going to matter.
Yeah, I agree. These are going to matter. You got to put the right people in there. And to give some plugs, I think if we elect Ralph Norman as governor, Lee Bright into the Senate, and Diane Mitchell into the House, that'll be a good step in that direction of rocking the boat down to Columbia and sort of upsetting the apple cart of some of these establishment Republicans who sort of let this thing go due to favors and due to having relationships with a lot of these people in the solicitor's offices and judges, and maybe we can upset it and actually get some fair judges and some fair solicitors. I mean, just in Columbia, that illegal immigrant got only sentenced to a year for a hit and run.
A year? 1 year? Unbelievable. Sam, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for it. And what he was talking about, an illegal alien killed a 21-year-old University of South Carolina student, Nathaniel G. Baker, in a hit and run. Rosalie Fernandez Cruz left the scene. It was a hit and run. He fled. He left Nathaniel to die in the road. And he has been sentenced to 1 year in prison, 365 days. How much you want to bet he doesn't do all of it? How much you want to bet he doesn't do all of it? Rosalie Fernandez Cruz, an illegal alien from El Salvador, had already been wanted by ICE. He should have never been in our country. He shouldn't have been behind the wheel of a car, but there he was. And he killed Nathaniel G. Baker. The case was prosecuted directly by South Carolina's Attorney General, according to Nancy Mace, who promised to take it on himself. This is what happens when borders are weak, open, and weak on crime weak on crime leadership looks like. Again, this is from Nancy Mace. This is what happened when our leaders protect illegal aliens more than they protect American families. That's Nancy Mace posted that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure when. But it's a horrible story. 1 year in prison. That's it. I mean, that was, I know. It's unbelievable. It really is. But luckily, because of President Trump, there are now fewer foreign-born people in this country. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. But let's go to Christina in Travelers Rest. Christina, how are you?
Okay. Sorry to radically change the subject. Duke Energy is wanting to raise our rates again, and we haven't even entered into the second part of the rates that were granted in 2024. The second hit on that. But the Greenville County public meeting to protest the rate, this rate, and it's mostly affects residential rates, is going to be over $10 a month extra. And the meeting for all of Greenville County is October 14th at 6 p.m. at the Greenville Tech campus on 508 South Pleasantburg Drive, Building 101.
Okay.
So, and by the way, because I think I reported to you this last meeting in 2024 how totally disgusted I was. The last rate that they wanted totaled up to over 19%, and I was the only one in all of Travelers Rest who even showed up.
Oh, wow.
So, I know. That was the meeting that they had in 2024, and they haven't. All those rates increase haven't even happened, and
Yeah.
they're asking for more.
Yeah.
So the only comment I wanted to make was after, I forget what year it was, but you already said after they gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Barack Obama for doing nothing.
Right.
What therefore is the value of that now?
Well, it might actually have some value if Trump wins it. I appreciate it, Christina. Thank you. She's talking about the Duke Energy proposed rate increase. Now, somebody posted this today. Danny, I'm not going to say your last name, Danny. I hope you're listening. He had an exchange, apparently, with a Duke Energy representative that called him. I want to read this to you. Duke Energy calls this morning again. I took the call and politely listened to the demand spill again. After, they're talking about demand, energy demands, and we got to make sure we don't have rolling blackouts, energy demands. He said, afterwards, the kind lady wanted to get me signed up immediately, in which I responded, I get it. You want me to do my fair share regarding demand shedding so Duke can provide uninterrupted services. Her reply, exactly. It's nice to speak with someone who understands the process and the repercussions from blackouts. My reply, thank you. I'd love to participate, as long as everyone else does as well. In particular, the new data center in Greenville, the one that just received a FILOT from Greenville County, the one that pays less per kilowatt consumption than I do. Please take my name and number, and please call when the demand meters have been installed at the data center so that their air conditioning can be remotely turned off at the pleasure of Duke Energy. I'll be next in line to sign up when I see their air conditioning is on the same shed schedule as was offered me. Good for you, Danny. Good for you. We are the consumers. We always get stuck. But meanwhile, the data center, they're not paying as much as you are. And if the lights go out, theirs won't. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, it's Tara. I do the homework and give you the facts every morning starting at 6 on The Tara Show. Only on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome back to the program. Let's jump in the Wayback Machine and go back to 2018 when over at NBC they had breaking news.
NBC News has exclusively learned that the newly elected incoming New York Attorney General plans to launch some sweeping investigations into President Trump, into his family. Letitia James tells NBC News, quote, "We will use every area of the law to investigate President Trump and his business transactions and that of his family as well." She plans to look into the following: Donald Trump's real estate holdings in New York, that June 2016 Trump Tower meeting with a Russian official, any government subsidies that Donald Trump received, whether he's in violation of the Emoluments Clause, the Trump Foundation. NBC News has...
they were very... Oh, you should have seen her. She was very excited about that. Very excited about that. But now, not so much. Now they're not quite as excited about Letitia James being indicted as they were Donald Trump being indicted or being investigated. Now they're talking about it's retribution prosecution. That's all it is. This guy's going after his political enemies, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Well, Scott Jennings was having none of that over on CNN.
Being a constitutional originalist.
Here's what I think. If Democrats like Slotkin are going to come out today and whine about selective prosecutions over Tish James, her entire career is built on the selective prosecution of one man. Now, I also believe what Elliot said. There's a process here. Everybody gets their day in court. Obviously, a grand jury saw enough evidence to bring charges. We don't know what they are, but a grand jury looked at this and says, okay, there's something here. She gets to go to court just like Comey, just like anyone else. But to me, it's just not going to fly to boo-hoo over selective prosecutions on this particular person who promised in her campaigns, who went after him on things, as Jonah said, that had no business ever happening, if not but for the man's last name being Trump. So I'm not going to...
How is that not a two wrongs?
Oh, no, it did now to hear what he was about to say. And how does that not two wrongs that make a right? Wait a minute. Again, Letitia James ran her entire campaign was on indicting and investigating Donald Trump. That was it. There was nothing else. That was her entire campaign, and she got elected to be Attorney General. And you got to give her credit. She followed through with her campaign promise. And she made up these charges against Donald Trump that in some way he defrauded lenders in New York. Nobody got hurt. First of all, it wasn't fraud. This guy, Trump, even tried to show the judge and the people in the courtroom the disclaimer on every single loan application that he made. These assessments are done using standard accounting practices, and then told them to use their own due diligence if they didn't agree with it. But nobody did. They're like, this is Trump. We're going to do business with him. So they did, and nobody complained. The only person that didn't like the way Trump was doing this was Letitia James. And she went after him. Meanwhile, she's really the dirty one. There was no evidence of fraud. And you got to remember what Kathy Hochul said as the governor of New York. Because all of a sudden, you had all of these business people in New York City, in Manhattan. They were worried. They were worried that they were going to get caught up in something like this. So Kathy Hochul literally said this. You other business folks, you don't need to worry about this. This is just about Donald Trump. We're not going to go after you the way we went after Donald Trump. They weren't going to go after Bloomberg or anybody else the way they did went after Donald Trump. This was purely about Donald Trump. What Letitia James did is about insurance fraud, it's about mortgage fraud, and it's about mail fraud. And she got indicted today by a grand jury in one of the most liberal areas of America. So we'll see how this turns out. Now, again, just like the Jim Comey indictment, I was surprised it happened because of where it happened. I will be even more surprised if there's some sort of a conviction. But we'll see. But again, they have got Pam Bondi, the DOJ, they have got to lay down an ironclad case. Ironclad case. This is how Nicole Wallace broke the news to her listeners.
Hang on, I'm sorry to interrupt you. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted. Andrew Weissman, your reaction?
I think that I want to sort of address the people who might look at this and say this is sort of tit for tat, that you see that in the Democratic administration, you see them going after Republicans, and this is Republicans going after Democrats. This is where, one, even if two wrongs don't make a right, even if that were true, but this is where
That's going to be the new catchphrase. We've just heard it. We heard it over on CNN. Now we've heard it on MSNBC. Two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs. Well, unfortunately for you guys, it was only one wrong and one right. Let's continue with this.
Facts matter. In the Letitia James case that she brought in New York, there was a trial. Facts were adduced. We all could look at those facts, and Donald Trump had a chance, an opportunity to have due process and to.
Please. He was indicted and tried in a district that voted for him by a whopping 10%. 10%. There was a judge that would not allow evidence in that case, exculpatory evidence in that case. Now, but again, I just pointed out, that's going to be the new catchphrase. Two wrongs don't make a right. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Grit, truth, and a whole lot of common sense. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So are the Democrats admitting that Letitia James did something wrong when they said two wrongs don't make a right? She went after President Trump intently. Like I said, she campaigned on it. And she did it. And she got this ridiculous settlement that was unbelievable. So now Trump is, and the DOJ has actually found out because of a whistleblower that Letitia James was the one that was indeed committing fraud. So right now, they've got her on, what are we looking at? Mortgage fraud. And where is the other one? There are two different fraud charges. Mortgage fraud and insurance fraud, I think, maybe. I'm not positive about that. But two felonies that they're looking at. Are we going to see a perp walk? Are we going to see, fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen, are we going to see Letitia James mugshot? Are we going to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wearing a T-shirt with Letitia James's mugshot on it? Are we going to see that? Is it going to be as good as President Trump's? Are they going to let her get her hair did and her makeup done before she gets her mugshot? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But they are losing their absolute minds over this, and I'm loving it. What is the unofficial motto of this show? It's a good day to ruin a Democrat's day. And today, their day is ruined. Because if we know, we know what this woman was doing. Indicted. Let's go back. I want to play a little more. This is Nicole Wallace talking about it over at MSNBC, of course.
We are learning more about the indictment itself.
I think she's going to cry. I literally think she's going to cry.
Back to the conversation, my colleague, MSNBC senior investigative correspondent, Carol Leonnig. Carol, what are you learning?
Well, heartened to see.
They're all about to cry. They're about to break down in tears. Their pancake makeup is going to start running.
That we now have confirmation from the court about what we reported about an hour and change ago, which is that the grand jury returned an indictment against Letitia James, New York Attorney General, one count of bank fraud, but also an additional count of false statements. These things are interlocked, although not spelled out in great detail, but they all relate to the case we've been talking about for a while, which is the allegations that Bill Pulte made that James had somehow defrauded a bank in some of her forms and in her attempt to help her niece finance a home.
Okay, now, remember the mainstream media, when they were reporting on Letitia James, they knew everything about that case. They knew everything. They laid it all out. This is what he's charged with, A, B, C, D. This is how he did it, and they just laid it all out. Here they act like they don't even know what's going on. Well, allegedly, Pulte said something about she did something with her niece and a loan, and I don't even know what these Republicans are doing now. Let's go to Vinny in Boiling Springs. Vinny, what do you think?
Oh, Charlie, it's my birthday today. And
Happy birthday, Vinny. I'm going to give you the happy birthday bell. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vinny. Happy birthday to you.
I got the best gift ever hearing about Letitia James.
Isn't it great?
Oh, listen, I think they already have the red suit and the orange suit sized up for her. The red suit in the jail when I used to work there was for high-profile individuals and murderers. That said, they have to give it to them because they don't know if they're going to kill themselves when they get in jail. And I hope she gets that soup that they give them when you're on that, because everything's ground up so you can't choke.
Oh, my gosh.
After all the charges, I know they've got to have her sized up for it already. I'm so happy to hear this going on. And, it's not retribution. It's the constitutional law that they're going by. And, yes, you don't throw stones in a glass house that you live in.
That's right. That's right. You're right, Vinny. Happy birthday, buddy. We appreciate you calling in. Well, Letitia James does think it's retribution.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president, is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country.
Oh, that was so slow and so purposeful and forceful. How many times did she practice that in front of the mirror? Probably just, no, you don't, slower. Letitia, slower. All right, let's do it again from the top. And President Trump, no. Lower. No, more power, more gravitas, Letitia. Let's get that done. Come on, we can do this now. All right, take two. Here we go. Good grief. I don't care. I want to see her on the stand. Like I said, I want to see the mugshot. Yeah, I want Vinny to have an even better birthday with a mugshot. That's what I want to have happen. So all of a sudden, here we go with Letitia James. CNN Katie Hunt is suggesting everyone in America that buys a home actually commits mortgage fraud.
What Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue.
Still getting the details. These allegations have been going on for months now.
I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this. Does that play a role here? I mean, how often has there been a federal indictment for a bank fraud type of situation like the one we see here?
Bank fraud? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, you're right. Bank fraud. They just let that slide. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of nonstop breaking news and stimulating talk jumpstarts every hour on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9
WORD,
the voice of the Carolinas.
Negotiations.
Oh, why?
Because the auto pen doesn't work that way.
I forgot. It was indeed the auto pen, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't do it. So, all right, Julian, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much. Well, folks, I hate to say this. I really do. But I believe we might have another Republican to primary. And this one surprises me a little bit. It surprises me. Now, I told you yesterday, and I told you earlier in the program, that some folks on the right, they're starting to crack a little bit. They're starting to crack. They can't take the pressure of 9 days of a government shutdown. 9 days. The pressure's just too much on them. The mainstream media is hammering them day in and day out. And they just can't take it. They just can't take it. President Trump, look at what he's done. I mean, the economy's doing good. I mean, we're not perfect, but we're doing good. Gas prices aren't shooting up like they did under Biden. Egg prices are down. They're lower than they were under Biden. Gas prices lower than under Biden. Stock market's going crazy. Gold hit $4,000 an ounce yesterday. Silver hit $50 an ounce today. Again, are things perfect? No. But is it a time to crack and cave under the Democrats and the demands and the pressure of the media? So the Republicans could, within the next, hour, if they really wanted to, they could open the government. But they would have to do something. They would have to do one thing that they do not want to do. And I don't blame them for not wanting to do this, because once that toothpaste is out of the tube, it does not go back in. They could get rid of the filibuster. Now, this is something that the Democrats have been wanting to do for a while. Get rid of that pesky filibuster. That way you don't have to have 60 votes. Just a simple majority would be okay in the Senate. Okay? Well, one of the people that is actually floating that idea out there is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, I thought she was a bulldog. I thought Marjorie Taylor Greene was a true red conservative. But apparently, she just went on the worst network in the country to trash her own party and the president.
Just not staying focused on America First policies is detrimental as well.
Yeah, and on that note, are you concerned about the cost of living? Are you
Very.
That the President Trump said he would lower?
The inflation crushed people in the past 4.5 years, and the costs have not come down. I myself can tell you, my apartment here in Washington, D.C., the electricity bill is $100 more than it was last year, because you can look at your own bill and look at costs. Prices have not come down. That is a reality. People's wages have not gone up. That's another reality. And so Americans are continuing to have a very difficult time getting by. And I'll go a step further. I'm a mom. And so when it comes to what is affecting my adult children's lives, who are 22, 26, and 28, I'm going to be 1,000% fighting for them over any politician and any party. And I can tell you right now, that generation, they are barely making it. And they're
She's gone. Folks, I hate to tell you this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is gone. We need to get her primaried as soon as possible. You folks over there, the Georgia GOP, get her out. She's gone. She's turned. I don't know what's happened. I really don't. But this is the problem with the Republicans. Did you find any Democrat, any single Democrat during the Biden administration going on any of these shows talking about how bad the economy was? No. Did they talk about how bad immigration was? No. Did they talk about Joe Biden's mental or physical decline? No. They didn't talk about any of that. Did they talk about all the wars that started under Joe Biden? Of course not. They did not. But for some reason, the whole Republican ideology, the conservative ideology, these people are so willing to turn their backs on the one person that is trying to save this country. Marjorie Taylor Greene now, in my eyes, is no better than Lindsey Graham. Because he does the same thing. Lindsey Graham goes on MSNBC. He starts slamming the president. Half the time he's doing that, stabbing the president in the back when he's not being invited to play golf. So, Charlie, could you explain what she said that was incorrect? No, hold on. It's not about it being incorrect. It's about being loyal. Is everything perfect? Well, let me ask you something, Marjorie Taylor Greene. What have you done about it? What have you voted for? You voted for Mike Johnson to be the Speaker of the House. Real conservatives didn't want to do that. And this one texter's right. You're thinking short term. You're not thinking long game. Joe Biden had 4 years to destroy this country. Donald Trump has had 9 months to get it back on track. And you're like, well, you're just not doing good enough. Okay, coach, you've been the new head coach for 2 games now. Is it time for you to be? They're treating Donald Trump like Bill Belichick. I mean, rumors out there he's gone in 2 weeks at North Carolina. Yeah, boot. Get the boot. So where's the? There you go, Charlie. Somebody ought to look into her bank book. Maybe so. Charlie, a small amount of criticism from Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't mean she should be gotten rid of. I beg to differ. I completely beg to differ. Because if she is willing to go on CNN, of all places, going into literally the enemy's territory to slam the president, gotta go. Sorry, you just don't do that. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. happen, type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, so a lot of people are like, Charlie, you're overreacting about Marjorie. I'm not overreacting. Hey, let me tell you something, though. There's nothing wrong with overreacting. Let's say you're walking through the jungle and you think you see a lion. What's better to do? Overreact or underreact? Overreaction could save your life. When you see a snake, do you take the time to wonder, is that a venomous snake or not? Oh, is that a king snake or is that a coral snake? Is that a friendly king snake or a highly venomous coral snake? I wonder which one it is. Let me pick it up and find out. Overreaction. Ain't nothing wrong with it. And the fact that this woman, not only is she out there talking right now about doing away with the filibuster, which would, you can just write the Republicans off right there. They'll never have power again if that happens. Talking about doing away with the filibuster, and then she goes on CNN. I mean, she loves to do her little videos. Why didn't she just do a little? Why does she go into enemy territory? Because she knew that was the audience that she was talking to. She knew that when she talked like that, CNN was going to be an ally. That's the only reason people invite you over on CNN, if they consider you an ally. And she knew that she was going to be playing to a very sympathetic audience over there. That's just not what you do. Let's go to Roger and Taylor's and talk about it. Roger, welcome.
Mr. Charlie.
Yes, sir.
With Trump's first term, his steroid shot to the economy was to drill, baby, drill.
Yeah.
And before, Biden spent 4 years trying to destroy America. And before he left office, I'm not exactly sure what law it was, but he signed an executive order, I believe it was, invoking like a 1970s law, or it could have been an 1870s, I think it was a 1970s law, and used that for his executive order to where you can't drill on federal property. And
right.
He did that before he left office.
Yeah.
So not only spent 4 years trying to destroy the country, they used a law to continue this out, and it's making it harder because that was the big thing that helped prices was getting the fuel down.
Sure.
And that drove the cost of stuff down. And that's making it harder. Maybe they can find a way to get around this. Congress, maybe they could go in and pass another law. But this is something that will have to be done in Congress, and I'm not sure that they have the stones to do it.
But I mean, you can get it passed through the House. You're not going to get it passed through the Senate because John Thune's not going to. And I'll say it again, Roger. This Congress has sent fewer bills to the president's desk than any other Congress in the past 70 years.
Yeah, but if they hadn't have done that, and that was on their side, that was smart of them to be able to find something to do that. But it's still. They're trying, they knew they were going to lose. Hey, we're going to hurt him as much as we can. But if he could drill, baby, drill, and, maybe in another year or so, they'll be able to do some things not on federal property.
You know what? I don't know. I'm not going to hold out hope because if the Democrats win in the midterms coming up next year, the only thing Trump can do is executive orders.
Charlie, I'm not sure they will. I know midterms go to the opposition. But I think people see in the news what's going on, and there's a lot of young people that sees what's going on.
Which is exactly what makes what Marjorie Taylor Greene did over on CNN even worse.
Yeah, they spent time when Trump was president burning the cities down. That stopped. Now they're not burning them down, but you got the Antifa, and people are seeing this stuff. They're unhinged. They go out and kill people. We don't do that.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm not positive. I think people are fed up with them.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, Roger. I mean, from your lips to God's ears, I hope they are. Sorry, Charlie, I say let the Democrats own this shutdown and make them squirm. Republicans need to have the intestinal fortitude not to give in. That's what I'm talking about. And like I said, Marjorie Taylor Greene is already out there talking about ending this because they're getting hammered. People are getting hammered over this thing. That was her big complaint over the weekend, over the past couple of days. Oh, we got to end this thing. Well, how are you going to end it, Marjorie Taylor Greene? She wants Mike Johnson to reconvene the House. Now, why would she want that? Come on, guys, let's think about this. Patterns, it's all about patterns. You got to watch patterns. The way I was raised, I had to watch patterns. I had to watch what people did and what they said. Most importantly, what they did. Because as a child, I wasn't always in a position to trust what people said. So you watch the patterns that people take, and they will show you your intentions, their intentions. She wants to do away with the filibuster. She wants Mike Johnson to reconvene Congress or the House. Why would Mike Johnson reconvene the House? Well, only for one reason. To start negotiating with the Democrats. To start doing that. And then she goes on CNN. Charlie, young people are PO'd because they can't afford to buy homes. Well, whose fault is that? For that, you got to look over at Jerome Powell at the Fed. The guy that reduced interest rates under Joe Biden when inflation was through the roof, but refuses to reduce inflation rates now at any sort of a meaningful way. Charlie, I wouldn't want to be Greene's husband with her kind of loyalty, right? Right? So anyway, I wanted to play you this clip all day. I've just, every time I was about to play it, something else would pop up, Letitia James indictment, all of that stuff. Well, as this woman that's running for governor of California, her name is Katie Porter. Katie Porter, now remember, not all Democrats are crazy. They're cagey. They're evil. Doesn't make them crazy. I believe Katie Porter is actually crazy. She was doing a little podcast not long ago, and one of her assistants had to pop in and listen to how she treated her assistant.
And the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Okay, I'm going to start again with.
So here's this woman that's just trying to say, hey, I'm trying to make sure you don't look like an idiot on your podcast with what you're saying. Get out of my effing shot. That lady is nuts. She absolutely is. So y'all know what tomorrow is? Y'all know what? It's Friday, getting ready for the weekend. My Georgia Bulldogs taking on Auburn this weekend. We'll run down some of those games for you tomorrow. Going to be a good one. All right, I want y'all to get out there. Have yourself a lovely evening. Shake all this off. Shake it off. Shake it off. Wake up tomorrow morning. Have yourself a great day. Go hug the ones you love. And we'll see you right back here at 3. As always, we love you. God bless. Buckle up. Bye, y'all.